First question, as the program chair of this great conference, could you do a short wrap-up, or what are you happy to see here, and could you do a short wrap-up of the conference so far?
Sure. So I think the biggest advance in the conference this year was the addition of yet another day and much more open participation for people who were not academics. The core of the conference is academic in nature, and so sometimes that's seen as being somewhat exclusive. But the reality is that the conference was set up by academics for academic research discussion. Of course, we love having interaction with other stakeholders in development. That certainly helps the research as well. It adds to the mix of kind of challenging questions that, as researchers, we need to address. I think this year's program has, every year that we have the conference, the program has, I think, gotten better and better and better. It still has, it can still get much better even beyond where we are now. But before the conference, I was looking at the proceedings from the first 2006 conference, and it's just night and day the quality of the work that's being presented this year.
And what were you excited to see at this conference, especially?
I think one of the things that I thought was great was that our program committee is more comfortable accepting papers that show either negative results or that take the idea of negative results and actually look at the analysis around that. So, for example, Divya's paper about her health care project with mobile phones, showed that the impact of those of her program directly was relatively, was actually negligible, but her presence in that environment was actually doing positive things in the sense of women taking iron pills. That's exactly the kind of dilemmas that we face all the time as researchers and also as development practitioners. And I think we need to look more at those carefully. There are probably many, many more failures in some sense, and to the extent that as an academic community we can, create theories around, how those failures exist, why they exist, I think it will take the field forward.
So I think the day before yesterday, or was it on Monday, you said that you didn't expect so many people to come. You were planning for 300, maybe 400 people, now there's 580 people, you had to search for accommodation. So do you think that reflects a rising interest in the field of ICT4D in general, or is it the conference which is attracting so many people?
That's a great question. So by the way, I should make sure that all of the credit for all of that logistics goes to our hosts, so Tim Unwin and Dorothea Klein, as well as the university. They did a fantastic job. I mean, I didn't have to do any worrying of that. In fact, all of that happened, as far as I'm concerned, in a single email that Tim wrote me saying, we have more registrations and we're going to take care of the logistics. So they did a fantastic job. It was just amazing. As far as interest in the conference, I don't think we could be more pleased with the interest in the conference. I think ICT4D as an activity is certainly growing. More people are involved in it. And then, for whatever reasons, there are more and more people who are interested in this conference and attending it as well. And I think that's also great. There's no downside, to that fact.
Okay. So we were interviewing you last time 1.5 years ago in Gijón. You were working for Microsoft Research then, now you're at University of Berkeley. Has this changed the way you work or your perception of ICT4D as a field?
Yeah, actually it's the other way around, in that because my perceptions of ICT4D as a field have shifted, I left Microsoft, and I think increasingly people are aware of some of the things that I'm saying in ICT4D around technology, the limitations of technology by itself to cause positive change. At least for myself personally, that thesis has led to greater interest in actually trying to directly change, what I call human intent and capacity. And so, I'm shifting in that direction. The move away from Microsoft was largely because I was less interested in necessarily being constrained to use technology, although technology might be able to help in other cases. So I'm more focused on changing human intent and capacity and trying to understand better ways to do that. Of course, development, overall has been doing these things from the beginning. So it's something that's, relatively new for me, but old for development.
Okay. And this change of your intent is also reflected in that book you have written, Strive. And could you explain a bit more what you're stating in there?
Sure, absolutely. So in my book, I've come to the realization that, telling people who are really passionate about something that what they're doing might not make sense 100% is really not productive. The people who are passionate about it Frankly, I think their passion is great. You know, I don't want to discourage the passion, but they happen to be attached to something that may or may not work. But I think that's something that everybody has to discover for themselves in the same way that I learned for myself. In the book, the goal is to actually set a more positive goal. So instead of saying you shouldn't do X, it's more about we should all try to do Y. And as you mentioned, the book tries to make the case that international development should focus on trying to grow human wisdom, human and institutional wisdom. And wisdom really is just a single word for what I used to call intent and capacity with respect to technology.
Another personal question, how did you actually initially get into the field of ICT4D?
How did I initially get into the field of ICT4D? I think for a long time I've had interest in, if not international development, you know, doing work that contributes to the larger world in a positive way. Right before I moved to India for Microsoft, I was actually considering leaving Microsoft at the time because I was interested in making moves along those lines. And then it just, you know, the opportunity to start a research lab in India just fell into my lap, and it happened to marry, you know, both my expertise at the time as well as my future interests. So that's how that's how it all happened.
Okay, thanks. Anything else you want to say?
No, but I think what you're doing in capturing all of these videos is fantastic.
Okay.
I'm very, very glad to see that you've been continuing it over the last year and a half, 2 years. And good luck. I hope you are able to continue doing that.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Great to have such good interview partners as you.
Thank you.
Okay.